Well,
Doing pretty good.
Good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. All right, we're joined here by Chattanooga head coach Lamont Paris. Before we get started, just a reminder, if you have a question, please raise your hand. One of the ladies will come by and give your microphone, name, and affiliation. We'll start with an opening statement from Coach, and then we'll go into the question and answer session.
Just really excited to be back here in the NCAA tournament, and really excited to watch our guys enjoy the whole experience and take part in it. And it's really neat for me. I've been blessed enough to be a part of this thing for a lot of games in my career, but this may be the most rewarding one, and we got a great group of guys, and I'm just so excited to watch them experience it and then and lead them into battle tomorrow. So really excited, glad to be back in Pittsburgh. I used to work at IUP for 4 years, so I've been in the state, recruited in the Pittsburgh area a bunch, so it's neat to be back around here. But anyway, just really excited for our guys and having them really enjoy this moment.
All right, questions for Coach, please raise your hand.
Coach Adam Jardy with the Columbus Dispatch, and taking you back maybe a few years, but I wondered when you were at Worcester, did your paths cross with Ryan Peden, and if so, how well do you two know each other?
I've bumped into him a couple times. You know, he's one of my best friends in this business, and he was there as a player when I had just graduated, so I actually coached him. Don't ask me about his jump shot. I like to compliment guys more than I don't. Anyway, but yeah, we go way back. He's a great human being, a great friend of mine, and I'm excited for them, and for him and his future ventures as a head coach at Illinois State. So, but yeah, we go way back, and he's like family to me. So.
Mike DeFabo, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. You mentioned your time at IUP. I wanted to ask you a question about that, actually. I imagine as a coach, every stop you pick something up, or maybe it shapes you. Just what maybe were some of the biggest things you learned during that chapter of your coaching career? Yeah.
You know, aside from we won a lot of games. We made it to the Final Four. We won a lot of games. But that was the first time that I had recruited a lot of older guys, and from just all different walks of life. I mean, we had kids from every part of the country, junior college kids, Division I transfers, kids from everywhere. So that, it kind of really identified with that type of recruiting. And if you look at our team now, that's carried forward. And we, again, have kids from all over, different backgrounds, all over the country, transfers, high school guys, the whole gamut. But that was one of the biggest things, aside from some basketball things that are associated with just winning at a high level in terms of your expectation, and how to get there and what it looks like, and how kids respond, and where they're good and what areas that they take their classes serious, all those things. So, but one of the biggest things was just from a recruiting standpoint, how to help blend and mesh all those guys together and to have a really good basketball experience.
Angela Moran, News 12 Chattanooga. Coach, I know we've talked about Kofi inside. What specifically have you told the team this past week in order to beat that beast down in the paint?
Yeah. We have a couple different concepts that we're going to – we are creatures of habit, and we try to do the same things. We're principle-based, and so we want to be true to who we are that way. This is a different type of player, quite frankly, and so you're going to have to tweak some of the things that you would typically do. So we got a couple different things that we're going to look at, but we're going to keep fresh bodies out there on him on both ends of the floor. I think we have 3 guys, for the most part, 4 guys that will play the center spot, and so I think they all present a different type of challenge, or different type of person guarding Kofi. We'll use some quickness. We'll use, Silvio De Sousa is very powerful in his own right. Then we have Avery Diggs is our tallest, longest player, so he'll be out there some too. And then different skill sets offensively that I think will potentially pose a problem for him in terms of having to get out. They normally keep him closer to the basket. We have a couple guys that can play in a way that's a little further away from the basket, and just to see what that looks like for him, because it's not something that they typically have had to do. I was in the Big Ten a long time. There weren't as many guys that can do that and play that style of basketball. So hopefully we can get him away from the floor and get him to have to defend in some different situations.
Joey Wagner, Illini Inquirer. Illinois was in a much different place when you left Wisconsin. What stands out about the job Brad has done in his tenure there?
Yeah, he's done a great job. They're extremely solid. They play well together. You don't accidentally, the Big Ten Conference regular season championship, they don't give that thing away. So they've been resilient. They've had some injuries. I know Kofi was out a little while. Corbello was out for a little while. And so, but he's done a phenomenal job because the league is so good. It's continued to be good. It's always been a good basketball league. But in these last couple of years, I think it's been really good. And so for them to ascend to the top of that league, he's done a great job. But I think they defend. I think this is the best I've seen them defend relative to my days in the Big Ten. They're defending differently. They have a different level of energy and effort in their individual matchups defensively, and collectively, I think they do a good job. And then you throw the personnel in there, and they have some different things that they can do because they have such size and athleticism around the rim. So, but Brad's done an incredible job with their team. There's a lot of tradition and history that goes with Illinois, and they're obviously not falling short of that by any stretch of anyone's imagination.
Hey, Lamont, Ben Bobick, Local 3 in Chattanooga. When we last spoke to you on Sunday, you mentioned a text you got from Brad Stevens about, okay, you got there now you guys could play a little loose, and you mentioned you expected your team to do so. And when we spoke with Malachi, I mentioned, practice has been intense. There's a sense of urgency there. Is that a good combo? Do you feel that from your team, that the sense of urgency, but also playing loose in the way you expected them to? Yeah,
I do. I do think we've towed that line pretty well. I do want to make sure, we've had such a it's a little bit of a unique situation in that our conference tournament is so early that we've had some time. So we took 2 days completely off. We eased back into it with some shooting workouts only, and then have built our way back into going hard. And so we did have to crank up the intensity just to remember what that was like. 3 days, 4 days of not doing that, and it's ancient history to these guys. So we have had to do that and crank it back up and get the intensity out there. I think you have to play with intensity. You have to be intentional about what you want to get done and in order to get that done. But at the same time, we have definitely been loose, and that's a hard line to toe, honestly, with guys of this age. It's one or the other. They either want the music on at practice and this is not serious, or they want yelled at and this is really serious. So to try to find some middle ground is the challenge, and I think we've done a pretty good job of that. But guys have been loose, and I've been loose. They know. I joke around with them, but that's not to say that we're not going to come out and be prepared and prepare the way that we normally do, and come out and play with an intentional focus of winning a game.
Illinois has several explosive guards on the perimeter. How valuable will Darius Banks' defensive versatility be tomorrow?
Yeah, that'll be a big part of it, because there won't be too many people on their team that he doesn't guard at some point, including potentially Kofi at times. We'll see what that looks like. But his versatility has been a big thing for us all season on both ends of the ball, but in this game in particular, because they do have so many guys. Typically, it's a man on a man, and you get a matchup that you're supposed to stay with for most of the game. But they have a multitude of guys that can shoot the ball, especially shoot. But even some guys that attack the rim pretty good too. So just to have him be versatile enough to do that, it'll be more size on those guys than even sometimes they're used to going against. And then another part, an important factor, will be his ability to rebound down from those perimeter positions to try to get in there and get some rebounds.
Coach, Doug Bouchon from Rivals.com. It seems like there's kind of a contrast in styles offensively in this game. Your team's an attacking team, shoot a high level of, or high percentage of twos. Illinois is going to let it fly from three quite a bit. Is there a team or other teams in the Southern Conference that you've played that play that style? And what have you learned from them?
Well, I'll tell you this, the one thing about defending the threes, which has been something that we've done pretty well statistically on the year, in our conference, out of 32 conferences, in our conference, 47% of all field goals attempted by any team are threes. That leads the nation by not even close. So that's one thing that we have done. We're used to 5 men shooting the threes. Everyone shoots the threes. I said, I can't wait to play a team where I can value a 3 for only 3. I value a 3 like it's worth 10 because everyone shoots them. They're shooting them crazy. So, but they do. They're good at shooting the 3, and so we'll have to do a good job of that. It's a good combination. Obviously, Brad has put that together on purpose, that you have a big-time threat at the basket. And then at the same time, it's hard to show a lot of help to that because you got guys that can shoot the ball from the perimeter. So it's a good combination. It works well for him. It has worked well for them. But we've been prepared to guard the 3 anyway because we have guarded a lot of teams that shoot a ton of threes. And so they'll shoot some that are difficult. They'll make some that are difficult. Our job is to make them make those and not to get caught on ones, rhythm threes where guys have their feet set. And they'll make some of the hard ones also. But you play the odds on that, and so we try to take away some of the easy ones, make them earn those threes, and then again, I think rebounding is going to be a big part of success in the game.
I wanted to ask you, just if you look back over the progression of this program and how you've built it the last couple of years, when a coach comes in, I think most of them expect there could be some challenging seasons. What do you feel like have been some of the biggest changes you've made, either culturally, from a personnel standpoint, schematically, that have led you to this moment?
Yeah, I think by and large, the biggest changes that we made, the most important changes that we made had to do with culture. I think there have been some basketball things here and there that we've changed also, and for the better. But I think some of the basketball things that I didn't like had to do also with some of the personnel that was performing those things. And so I just think culturally was a huge thing in terms of our emphasis on academics, our emphasis on team play. And trust me, the guys that I inherited, they didn't ask for me to be their coach. So I'm not saying they're bad guys. I'm not. They didn't pick me. And so I completely understand that, and any sort of resistance or whatever. And so, but we did. We got some guys that wanted to be coached by me, wanted to be coached badly by me. And we got some guys that just, I think holistically, we were in a different place in terms of our emphasis on academics, our emphasis on sharing the ball, being a good teammate. Here's a great example. Malachi Smith leads us in scoring, and he's wherever in the country, and I probably have fewer plays specifically to get him a shot than anyone else on the entire team. So he knows how to get his, but he's also not concerned about getting his. He leads us in assists. I think we've gotten more guys that have that team-oriented kind of belief and want to win, and they know that they're going to be able to get what they need to get out of this whole deal if we win enough games. So I'd say culturally, that was probably one of the biggest things that we did, was change the culture. Everyone says that. I know it sounds like a cliche, but if you don't have that right, and there's not right and wrong, but there's right for you. And if you don't have it right for you, it makes it very difficult to succeed.
Matt Stevens, Illini guys. Lamont, I apologize, kind of a similar question, but how did you manage and maneuver a roster that has 7 Division I transfers and try to get the chemistry right for this club this year?
Yeah, it wasn't easy, and we had a lot of our roster change. In fact, in year 3, David Jean-Baptiste was the sole player on that 3rd season that was on the 1st season as well. Not one guy. And so a lot of that was by choice. Some of it happened. We also recruited the freshman of the year in the Southern Conference, and that earned him, after 1 year, a Big 12 scholarship at TCU. So some of it was not by my decision. That's just how it is. But to keep on having another piece and another piece, we focused on who they were, what kind of person they were, and how serious they were about about the team and winning and how it all affected and interacted with them. But so once we did that, I think the blending part was a little easier. We were also older and more mature. We have a really old team. My first year, we had the youngest team in the entire country. Out of 358 teams, we were the youngest. And so I won't ever do that again if I have any say-so in that. And so now we're older, and I think they're just more willing to accept the truth. I spent a lot of time developing a relationship with them, and they accept what I say to them as being true and how it affects them. And so, but yeah, building that with so many different pieces and so many guys from Division I, and we have multiple 1,000-point scores. Darius Banks, again, it comes down to character and emphasis on winning. Darius Banks has scored over 1,000 points, well over 1,000 points, honestly, and literally no one on our team cares less about scoring points than him. In fact, I had to remind him mid-season that you're a 1,000-point scorer, bud. We go into a film session, and I specifically showed like 4 or 5 clips just of him making buckets and reminded the whole team that that's kind of what you've done your whole career, and we would like you to do more of that. So, but that's how it works. That's how it blends together, is that you have selfless kids that are good teammates that enjoy having fun, and one of their favorite things to do is to play and practice basketball. So if you got guys that don't like practice and only want to play in the games, there's going to be some friction. But we got guys that like to practice and get better together.
Joseph with the Chattanooga again. David Jean-Baptiste mentioned that getting Kofi in foul trouble is going to be a big thing. But as a coach, how do you balance trying to get him in foul trouble and trying to exploit that matchup, but also not getting away totally from what you guys have done all season?
Yeah, good question. I think it can be hard, but we haven't talked much specifically about just trying to get him in foul trouble. I don't want to deviate a ton from our plan. We throw the ball inside, and we get a lot of our opportunities from post touches. Sometimes it'll be a basket in a one-on-one scenario. Other times there'll be a double team and we'll kick out for open shots. So we're going to throw the ball into the post. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to abort mission on that there. So if in the process of doing that and attacking downhill some, if in the process of doing that he's more susceptible to a couple fouls, great. That would be great. But I'm not hanging our hopes on the fact that if he gets 2 fouls early, then we have a great chance to win. If he doesn't, well then down goes Frazier. That's not what we're hanging our hat on. And so while it would be nice if we can get that to happen, we're going to play our normal game, particularly from the offensive end, and we're going to attack and make him defend in there and try to put him in some other situations where he's got a guard. And he's a good defender. He's smart. He doesn't foul out of too many games, right? And so and that's a very physical league, the Big Ten. And so we'll attack him. We'll attack him some, but it won't be such a focus that we get out of our normal way of doing things.
Last question for Coach.
Joey Wagner with the Illini Inquirer again. With Plummer and his ability to get hot quickly, and it seems like he doesn't need a lot of time to get a shot off, what kind of challenges does that present to you guys defensively? And have you seen a guy or coached against a guy with that kind of release like that?
Yeah, good question. Because he can be so explosive, the typical way of guarding a guy like Kofi Coburn is that you send bodies and you get people in there. Well, you're going to leave somebody open for 3, so it's very difficult to do that with Plummer, right? So that's the challenge. That's the main challenge that it presents. And to address your other part, Fletcher McGee was in our league at Wofford when I was there, and I swear there's another kid every year in our conference that does the same thing. They run full speed in one direction. They jump, and they're not facing the rim when they jump, and they shoot it, and it goes in. And so, yeah, Fletcher McGee was one that we had to do that against, and so Plummer does some of the same stuff. I mean, and when he sees one go down, it's very difficult. So it's already cooked into our equation that he's going to make a tough one or two, right? You can't have him get going because in transition, the first guy didn't get back, so I had to help, and he gets a wide open one. Or we send him to the free throw line, and he sees it goes in. If he's going to earn those, he's going to earn those. I mean, it is what it is. I don't want to foul him also. I've seen some of the contests, and if you're contesting it any more than that, you're probably fouling him. So you get there, get in the vicinity, put a hand up, and if he makes it, he makes it. You got to move forward on it. But again, a very good inside-outside punch that didn't happen by accident. Brad's no dummy. And so he's got a really effective inside threat, and he's got a really effective outside threat. So it'll be a challenge for us, but we've got a good game plan, and we're ready to execute it.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
See you. Nice job, Coach. Thank you.